All right, let's dive into something that's a total game changer for anyone who loves to travel: crypto cards. We're going to talk about how these things can help you, well, pay without borders.
You know that sinking feeling, right? You're somewhere new, maybe trying to pay for dinner, and boom, your card gets declined. It's that moment of panic, and honestly, way too many travelers have been there. So, why on earth does this keep happening? Well, the short answer is that our traditional banks, they just weren't designed for a global, on-the-go lifestyle. Think about it. Traditional banking systems, they just kind of hit a wall when you start crossing time zones and borders. They're built for a world where you have a fixed address and a predictable routine, not for people who are constantly moving around. And the results? Well, it leads to some incredibly frustrating problems. Your account gets frozen because of a supposedly suspicious transaction. You get slapped with hidden conversion fees you had no idea about. Or, and this is the worst, you get asked for local proof of residence just to access your own money. The whole system is just full of friction. So, here's the key takeaway. This isn't just some random glitch. The entire foundation of conventional banking is limited by geography. It's an old system trying to keep up in our new borderless world, and a lot of the time, it just collapses at the border. It's a pretty frustrating picture, I know. But what if you could just sidestep that entire outdated system? What if your money could travel just as freely as you do? And that's where crypto cards come into the picture. They are popping up as this incredibly powerful tool for travelers because they were built from the ground up to enable a life without those financial borders. Let's get into how they actually work. The real magic here is the instant conversion. So you hold your funds as crypto, right? Then, when you tap your card to pay for a coffee in Paris, a process happens instantly, behind the scenes, that converts just the right amount of your crypto into euros. The coffee shop gets paid in their currency, you get your coffee, and the whole thing is over in a split second. For you, the user, it feels completely seamless. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just stark. The old way is all about freezes, restrictions, and getting flagged. The new way, with crypto cards, is about avoiding those roadblocks altogether. Your spending isn't seen as suspicious just because you happen to cross a border. But, it actually goes a lot deeper than just convenience. This is really about financial freedom. You're the one in full control of your own assets. You're not relying on some traditional bank to say yes to your transactions or to give you permission to access your own money when you're abroad.
Okay, so this probably sounds pretty interesting. But look, not all crypto cards are created equal, especially when you're a traveler. So let's shift gears and look at a practical checklist, what you should actually look for.
So what makes a crypto card truly travel-friendly? Well, first off, global acceptance is an absolute must. Then you're going to want it to integrate with mobile wallets like Apple Pay or Google Pay. It just makes life easier. Look for transparent fees. This one is so important. You do not want surprises. You also want a really simple sign-up process. And finally, the flexibility to top up your card with a few different cryptocurrencies. Now, to make all this a bit more concrete, let's take a look at a real-world example. The PintoPay card is one of the options out there that's specifically built for this kind of global lifestyle. So how does it stack up against our little checklist? Well, it's got global coverage in over 150 countries, check. It integrates with Apple and Google Pay for that frictionless payment experience, check. And it lets you top up with major assets like Tether, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. It's definitely an option built for someone who's always on the move. And this quote, it just really gets to the heart of the matter. For people who live a mobile lifestyle, digital nomads, frequent travelers, this kind of tech isn't just some cool new feature. No, it represents a really fundamental shift in what financial freedom looks like. So when we kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, what does all this really mean? Well, it's pointing towards a completely new kind of freedom for anyone who travels. The journey here is pretty clear, right? You go from being blocked by these old world requirements like proof of residence to just being able to live and spend and exist freely pretty much anywhere in the world. It is the definition of going from friction to flow, which, leaves us with one last really fascinating question to think about. As technology like this becomes more and more common, are we actually witnessing the beginning of the end for traditional banking borders? That's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me on this one.